Hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are in the country. Welcome to the BlackPAC. This is a space for our members, our volunteers, our supporters, our friends, and our allies. It has been a minute. So I want to just say welcome to everyone, and I'm glad that you all were able to get on with us today. We wanted to take a little bit of time because it's been a couple of months since we gathered together just to be together in community. We are constantly talking about the importance of finding each other, finding your people, staying with your people in this moment, both to make sure that we have a plan for what we are doing in this particular political moment in our country, in our communities, but also just to be inspired by each other, to find encouragement in with each other, and to have a little bit of fun when we can. So welcome everybody. I want to take just a moment before we get into our program to introduce to some, maybe the other members, some of the other members of the BlackPAC team, Alyssa Williams and Jess Pace. I want to just ask you all, as we start the show, we're about to get into some things that are kind of heavy. We know that we've been, in many ways, daily overwhelmed by what is happening in the country. But I wanted to maybe start us off with a little bit of lightness before we talk about some of the other heavier things and what we can be doing and what we should be doing. So I want to just ask you all two questions. One of the things, I feel like we keep asking this question, and maybe it's good because we need to keep repeating it, but is in this moment, what is it that is bringing you joy that might be inspirational for other people? Alyssa.
What's bringing me joy is watching my son play basketball right now. Just the freedom of watching a little kid learn how to hoop and compete has been just so much fun.
And so is he all into the tournament right now? Did he do a
Oh,
bracket?
oh yes, he is super into it. We made a big one on our wall. We're showing him how it breaks down. So he's really excited. It's a little bonding activity we have going on.
And is that bracket busted yet?
It is busted. It is.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't even bother because you know what? Jess, how about you?
Yeah, so I'm here in St. Louis and we have a really big election coming up in a few weeks, like 2 weeks. And so my joy is just like having another opportunity to like turn people out, get people out and moving and like looking at something that's not Trump, and some like opportunities to do some things locally. So, it's work, but it's fun to think about like we can have a little piece of heaven here if we really work hard.
Yeah. So I think I mean, people getting in motion and getting active and getting busy and engaging folks is a very clear and great way, not just to be, to make a difference, but also I think that does bring people joy. For me, I'm gonna say that the thing that is bringing me joy is actually just finding time to sit in silence. I feel like there is so much, like I have turned my TV off, as many people have, and sort of I say that, but then not really. But I am trying to disengage as much as I can from all of the noise, and then finding actual real analysis from people who I know and trust, many of them who are going to be on with us in just a minute. The other thing is listening to music. And so my last question for the two of you, as we think about how we get through this moment, is what is the music that you are listening to that is keeping you grounded and keeping you encouraged? Jess.
So I am currently having a healthy balance of gospel and Glorilla. So I go back and forth because sometimes it's, I need a little Loretta Brown Clark, It Ain't Over. And then sometimes I just need to blast, Glorilla, like the full album.
Well, and sometimes it's the same thing. Sometimes the gospel and the glow merge.
For
It's
sure.
coming across.
For sure.
And Alyssa?
So I've been really into meditation. So I've been doing a lot of meditation music just to kind of keep me calm. But then, like Jess, you have to have balance. So I don't think I've turned off Kendrick since November. So I GNX stays just on my rotation, and it feels like the music of the moment for me.
Yeah, there's really no reason to turn off Kenny, like
No.
in my opinion. Okay, so for me, I have been listening to, and we were sort of talking, it's kind of funny because I was saying that I've been listening to 90s R&B. And I don't know why, but I have been. So 90s R&B seems to bring the 90s maybe were, my moment. And so what brings me back is I think is 90s. And then I think like you, Alyssa, I have been listening to all of LA's most creative people for the last bit of time. So that includes Kendrick, but it's also Tyler and Absol. And so if people don't know who those folks are, please go listen to them, find them, and listen to some of their music. Okay, so I think we're gonna hop in to our conversation today. So we wanted to take a minute to bring in some folks who are folks that we are in partnership with, that we are in conversation with often, whose opinions and analysis we respect, particularly in this moment when we know that we need to be really thoughtful and strategic about what we are doing collectively as organizations and individuals, but also, to help us think through, when our organizations are in fact moving on their own. And so I want to bring in my good friend, the national director of the Working Families Party, Maurice Mitchell. Welcome into this conversation, Maurice. We appreciate you joining us. And I'm always happy to see you, which I feel like should be more often than it actually is.
What are we doing? We gotta rectify that. We have to. And people don't know, we go way back.
Way, way, way back. Yeah. And this is the way back. To another, to another moment in time where it was like, what is going on here? How are we gonna get ourselves out of this? So I'm gonna start by maybe asking you that last question that I ask Jess and Alyssa, which is, what is the music that you are listening to right now?
Man, well, there's an artist that isn't so new and isn't so underground, but was new and underground, and now everybody has her name on their lips. Doechii. I've been listening.
Aha, right.
What I love about Doechii is that, she's broken into the mainstream, but on her own terms.
Mhm.
And she doesn't fit into any box because she can spit. She is like a lyricist, right? Of the highest order. She doesn't fit into any of the aesthetic boxes. Sometimes she looks like a backpacker. Sometimes she looks like, you
Yeah,
know, glamorous.
he's all
And
glammed up.
and it's like confounding, like, dudes were wilding out because she made a statement. Because it's like, wait, she's
Yeah.
beautiful. It's not for my gaze. Do not compute. It's like she's forcing us to like challenge ourselves. So I really appreciate her, and I think we need to be challenged. Our preconceived notions need to be challenged in this moment. So I'm really, really into her as a new artist, and just like she inspires me when I see her performances, and I'm like, man, that was effortless. That was brilliant. I'm like, how can I channel that energy into what I do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we may need to create a little playlist out of this BlackPAC meeting. So Jess, I'm going to ask you to pull us together a little playlist that we can send out to people. So let's hop in, Maurice. So we are at day 61
Mm,
of the Trump administration. It feels like it's day 361.
indeed.
We have seen radical changes within our federal government.
Yeah.
We have seen department heads and DOGE gut funding for critical services. We have seen executive orders dismantling civil rights and discrimination protections. We have seen a relentless assault on the Black middle class, with layoffs of federal workers, which are the jobs that helped many Black folks move into the middle class. We've seen the elimination of programs that provide access to capital and small business loans for Black and brown and women-owned businesses. We've watched the undermining of working families, veterans, children. So help me understand, what is the game plan when you attack literally everyone and still believe that you can hold on to power?
Okay. It's a very, very good question. And what's helpful about answering this question is like they have said what their intentions are, right? So we should not be confused. And there was many of us. And here's the thing. I don't want us to be gaslit because 92+% of Black women understood in November what time it was. Close to 80% of Black men understood in November what time it was, right? We weren't confused. And so why weren't we confused? Because I continue to believe that Black people historically are the most sophisticated voter bloc, right? What we understood is we listened to what they said. When they published Project 2025 on the internet as a PDF, we took them seriously and literally.
Yeah.
And every page of that is about expanding presidential power, expanding their power, pushing way past law, decorum, precedent, constitutionality, so that they could assume a authoritarian posture. So being popular doesn't matter when you're authoritarian. Power is the only thing that matters when you're authoritarian. So people who are living in the old world are confused. Like, this isn't popular. They're hurting people in their base. Like, why would you be doing that? Because their ideology is about power. Might makes right, right? It doesn't have to be morally correct. It doesn't have to be legally correct. It doesn't have to be constitutionally correct. If we have the power to do it, we do it. And this is a good lesson for us about the purpose of power, right?
Yeah.
And so hopefully we learn that lesson and then we could apply some of those strategies in taking back the power.
Yeah. And so it is, I mean, because we see, so I know I said I turned my TV off and I sort of have, right? But one of the things that, that constantly comes up is the thing that you just said, which is people saying like, it's hurting his base. The farmers are going to be affected by, the USAID, the elimination of USAID. And so what is he doing in the veterans? And so that is a critical point to understand about, because they don't actually care, because they don't require those people any longer. And so the thing that I keep, sort of reminding people and going back to is, the thing that you said, that they told us everything, right? And so Trump literally said everything, right? And so he said to people, if you vote for me this time, you won't have to vote for me again, right? This sort of like, we don't need you. We will not need you any longer. And so it doesn't matter what we do, right?
Yeah.
But it is interesting that we have seen those folks begin to say like, hey, wait a minute, or even, listening to people say like, well, we didn't vote for that. Well, actually you did, but I understand, right? I understand what you're saying, right? But you did vote for that. You just didn't think it was coming for you, right? But we've seen these Republican town halls, right? We saw these Republican town halls across the country, where people literally, like absolutely shredded their representatives, right? To the point the Republicans said, we're going to shut it down, right? We're not doing any more town hall meetings. Like, we actually don't want to hear from you, because you are the image of you all yelling at us says to the rest of the country that y'all are mad and we don't want people to see that, right? So we're going to shut it down.
Correct.
Now we're seeing Democrats begin to hold town hall meetings as well. And we'll hold aside for a moment, right, the Bernie Sanders AOC town halls, because these are literally campaign rallies, right? 15,000 people in Tempe the other day, right? So those are huge. But I've seen, some clips from Representative Summer Lee's town hall and other Democrats. And what you're hearing at those town halls, I think, and you can, tell me your perspective on this, what I'm hearing from people is people are saying to Democrats, we need you to fight, right? We need you to actually get in the game and fight on our behalf. There's real anger still out there over the handling of the budget fight, the spending bill fight that happened. Was that last week?
Yeah, yeah. It was technically it was last week, but it feels like
Yeah. So there's still real anger out there. I'm actually really surprised. I mean, I think I was laughing last night about how Americans and even people, our members and our our supporters and our base, like everybody knew what a continuing resolution was. Ain't nobody ever heard of a CR before.
correct.
Suddenly, everyone knew what a continuing resolution was, and everyone knew what cloture was.
Yeah.
Like this sort of arcane Senate rule, right? That allowed the bill to move forward. And suddenly everyone was like, oh, I need to call my senator and tell them to vote no on cloture, right? Which is actually really important in terms of doing real-time, immediate civics kind of 101 with folks. But people are mad about this sort of capitulation in the Senate. So what's your take on one, sort of what the whole CR debacle, and then Senator Schumer's kind of ongoing position about how he thinks Democrats are going to regain the upper hand, and then what Dems should be doing right now?
Yes, absolutely. Okay. Of course people are mad. When you correctly spend more than $1 billion informing the entire population that an authoritarian neo-fascist force is about to take over the federal government, and it is it's an existential threat to our democracy, to our way of life, to our culture. When you correctly spend years telling everybody and their mama that that's the case, when those people get into office, you shouldn't be surprised that everybody's like, all right, what we gonna do then? They're in
Right.
office.
Right.
Are we gonna fight them? Who's leading the fight? If this is an existential threat to our way of life, what's the game plan? And
Right.
when those same people, elected Democrats, the leadership of the Democratic Party, are flat-footed or acquiescing or seem like they're not using their leverage, we shouldn't be surprised that
Right.
the broad base, not just like the quote unquote ultra left, not
Right.
just
Right.
this is everybody in the Democratic Party's base is like, well, what's the game plan and how and where are we fighting? And so
Right.
that's what's happening, and that's why people understand leverage. So that's why people have now learned about the Baroque laws and rules of Senate procedure because they understood that that was the one place that they
Yes.
had leverage. And that's why people are understandably fired up because they want fighters. And I
Right.
think this is a moment where if you believe that we're still in the regular order and that the Republican Party of even a few years ago is the Republican Party of today, and that there are good Republicans that are cowered by Trump, and all we need to do is lower Trump's approval, and then they'll step up and do the right thing, then
Wait, all we need to do is work out with them in the gym, and
right.
then they'll come around.
Right. Yeah. In the gym, things are a little bit different in the gym. So you might come to those conclusions if you actually believe fundamentally that this is unlike anything we've ever experienced, and the American regime right now is the most far right regime on the planet, arguably. And
Right.
that what they want to do is every piece of power is to use it to their maximal leverage in order to push back on anything we've ever known. Those people, and they come in all stripes. Some of them are
Yeah.
frontliners, people
Yeah.
who are in districts that are purple. Some of them are considered moderates. Some of them, like AOC and Bernie, are considered part of the left wing. But they all understand that it's our duty to fight. And
Right.
so I think that that's what the debate is about. And I think it's to me a debate about power. It's a debate about strategy,
Yep.
right? And I'm very happy to see so many people understanding the assignment, understanding basically this is about leverage, this is about power, and authoritarians only understand a fight.
That's right. I think I appreciate you saying again, bringing it back to this is about power. I do think that like the frontliners, those people that are in vulnerable districts, right? Definitely, I'd be mad if I was them, right? Because they have a lot to lose by getting left, strung out like that. But this isn't there is this framing that's happening right now that is sort of like, oh, it's generational, right? It's the new generation that sort of, and it is not generational. This is not about older, Democrats or progressive and younger Democrats or progressives. People, this is fundamentally about power and our understanding about how we get out of the mess that we're in. And some folks seem to not understand that.
People are trying to gaslight us because I remember when Al Green understood the assignment. What generation exactly does Al Green come from? Also, by the way, and anybody named Al Green apparently channels the ancestors, whether it's in music or politics.
Right,
Just
right.
I just need to Google the name Al Green, and if it's a black man, I'm like, all right, let him leave.
Let him go.
But look, like people, here's the thing. It actually is so clear to the majority of people what's going on. Any of these like talking points around it's a generational thing or it's like this is all noise, this is all spin.
Yeah.
And everybody could see what it is, which is right. Like AOC and Bernie had tens of thousands of people. Why so many people are fired up? People are fired up at the Republican town halls, at the Democratic town halls. People are fired up too. And even the supporters of the Democrats are like, go back out there and fight. You're not fighting hard enough because this is so clear to everyday people. And people are feeling the pain.
Yep. I want to ask just not necessarily, you don't need to come on, but do we have questions for Maurice, either from the chat or from how I don't even know how people are sending the questions.
We do. So one of the questions that I think that people have for everyone is how do we turn this moment into a movement similar to what Black Lives Matter did?
Okay, well, I lead the Working Families Party. One thing that we just launched a few days ago is a broad call. We're trying to recruit the next 1,000 working class heroes, people who understand the assignment, right, to run for office, right? Because there's thousands of offices around the country that you could run for. The president is not a king. Power is diffuse in this country. There's power on the local level. There's power on the state level. And there's power on every single level of government. And there's so many different elected offices. There's city council, there's school board, there's water boards, there's fire boards, and we need people like you to run for those offices, people who will be unbossed, who understand the assignment, and regular everyday working people. Because the way that you fight the oligarchs, the way that you fight the handful of billionaires that have bought the last election is by getting a group of people from the working class to build that movement and also to govern. So I don't just want to be a protest movement. Protest is powerful, but we also have to be a movement, an opposition movement that's interested in governing. And there's going to be, I know Gabby's going to talk about an opportunity to protest. We need to protest. That's one punch. We also need to govern. And so that's another punch. And governing only happens in this country when people step up. Independent people step up to run for office. So I encourage anybody to reach out to the Working Families Party. You could text my name, Mo, to 30403 to plug in. That's one concrete way that people could plug in. We want 1,000 working class warriors to be on the front lines of our democracy, and that probably is you.
So that's so important because well, first of all, how do I get a thing where you text my name somewhere? Like I want to be, hey, text Adrianne to, you will help me figure that out.
Yes, it's very useful.
But I think that the thing that you raised that was important, both in terms of like there is a role for everyone to play right now. One of those roles is running for office, particularly because we do still have elections in this country, right? Like, I am concerned about how long we hold on to our elections, but we do still have them, and we have elections this year. And I know that people focus on 2026, and yes, and we'll deal with that as we go through this year and we get there. But we have elections this year. We need to protect our states, right? We need to protect our states and our local communities. And the way that we're going to do that is by electing folks who are one closer to the ground, right? The what you're raising about the types of people that we need to hold office. We need to make sure that those people, whether that's someone listening or someone that you know, right, needs to run for that office so that we can protect our states and protect our local communities. So I appreciate you bringing that up. I'm gonna ask you one last thing, and that is just about a word of encouragement, right? How are you all encouraging folks in this moment that feels overwhelming, I think, for most of us?
Yeah, I look, I'm in it too. Sometimes I feel overwhelmed by everything that's going on, right? And so the one of their strategies is for you to feel overwhelmed, which is why they're doing so much. They've talked about it. It's called the
Right.
flood the zone strategy. Like, can we throw everything at them, confuse them, tie them up, to have them feel overwhelmed, have them feel powerless? So when you're feeling that overwhelm, understand that that is one of their tools. And the one thing that we have control over is our focus. So we can't do everything, but we can do something. So find an organization, find a lane, right? And then really lean into that lane, right? And so the lane might be, okay, let me run for a local office. The lane might be, let me join BlackPAC. The lane might be, let me join Working Families. Why I say find an organization is sometimes as an individual activist, we could just go spinning.
Yeah.
And so it's so helpful to have an organization, because then there's others who could support you. There's others who might have more experience, who could guide you. It's just a better way of approaching this. So I definitely am a big booster of organizations in this moment, and not doing everything, but doing something. Find your lane and master that lane. If it's
Right.
protest, master that lane. If it's organizing, master that lane. If it's reaching out, we do phone banks every week, calling the constituents of folks around the country so that they could begin to get in motion. If it's doing a phone bank and
Yeah.
committing to that phone bank, that's what you do.
Yeah.
Find something and master it.
Yeah, I appreciate that, because it's easy to, the overwhelmment can also be self-generated, right? Like trying to do too many things and then feeling like none of it's making, an impact. And I do think that, like, yes, find an organization and join it, and find an organization that matches the thing that you want to do right now. Right. So if what you want to do is protest, then there is an organization for you. If you feel like there's two things that you really want to do, then join BlackPAC and the WFP. Right. Like you can do those things, but be in community, because that's where we're going to find our strength. OK, so the national director of the Working Families Party, Mr. Maurice Mitchell, I want to thank you for joining us and for bringing all that wisdom. And can we find each other, because we have lots to talk about.
We're gonna rectify this. We gotta get our group chat popping. Let's make it happen.
I got you. Okay. All right. Thanks, Mo. I appreciate you joining us today. I'm just gonna go ahead and bring in our next guest. So we want to talk a little bit about what is happening, things that are happening that people can join. And plug into, because we understand all of the things that are happening right now. It does feel overwhelming. There is every day sort of, like the, EO to eliminate the Department of Education, the, Doge kids, I don't even know what to call them, like tapping into our data in every agency. There's all these things that feel kind of crazy right now. But there is the thing that we don't hear about a lot is what's happening on the other side. And so we might hear about a protest here or there, but I think that the full scale of the pushback, the fight back that is happening right now is actually not being reported on our news stations, right? It's also part of the reason why we continue to tell people to find independent media, right? To find Black media, right? BlackPAC has been trying to connect with Black media and those who operate, journalists, those who operate inside of Black media over the last several months, so that we can make sure that we're giving you all important information that you need to have. But that stuff is being covered, and not just by Rachel Maddow, right? Like you're watching Maddow every day. Maddow's like, hey, there's a protest over there. But things are happening. And so we wanted to take a moment to talk about that. And so I want to bring in two of my other good friends. I want to bring in Charles Douglas, who is, some of you all remember Charles from Common Power in Seattle, one of our partners that BlackPAC has been in partnership with for a number of years now, right, Charles? That is doing great work, not just in Seattle, but in sort of recruiting and mobilizing volunteers to be in this fight around the country. So Charles is the ED at Common Power, and then also Gabby Seay, who some of you also know because Gabby has been around BlackPAC since the beginning since the day that we got a name and opened our doors. And Gabby is now an advisor to the Fight Back Table, which is a coalition of organizations that are maximizing the work that individual organizations are doing to engage folks and get folks engaged. So thank you both for joining us. I know Charles is on a little road trip right now. And so I appreciate you.
I'm in LA.
You are
I'm in LA at a
you are not
cafe
in Seattle.
trying to find Adrianne Shropshire. Where is she?
Well, as everyone knows, I never leave, so you will be able to find me. So I think I want to start with I do love this question, so I'm going to ask you guys a question. And we need content for Justice playlist. So I'm going to ask you all the question that I asked at the top. Charles, you may have missed it, so I'll let Gabby go first, which is, what is the music that you're listening to right now that is helping you stay grounded or get through?
So it's a variation depending on the time of the day. I always start my day with gospel music just to ground myself. So I have a well to pull from when people start testing me throughout the day. And by people, I mean Donald Trump and Musk. So I start there. And there's a particular song that I actually started listening to every morning in October. I went to work on the vice president's campaign, and it's by I can't remember the artist's name. Jonathan something. But he has this, the song is called God is Good. And one line that I meditate on a lot is, may your bad day show that God is good. And I'm like, well, that's an excellent reframing of where we are.
Yeah.
And throughout the day, it gets progressively more ratchet. It might go to like Beyonce. And then we go to some like Afro beats in the afternoon to like keep it going. And then at some point it turns to like Lil Wayne and whoever else. If I need to like work out after all of this, I need something that
it's whatever you need in the moment.
That's it.
Whatever's gonna get you through. Maybe we won't put Lil Wayne on the playlist though, because he's not for everybody.
No, don't do it. Don't do it.
We all have our people, okay? I'm just courageous enough to say the people I shouldn't listen to that I do, because we ain't got a lot of kick it these days anymore. So,
okay, Charles. So the same question for you. What are you listening to?
I didn't hear earlier, but I know for sure a bunch of people said Kendrick. I mean, aside from Kendrick, it's funny. I was just on the ride from the airport. I threw on Black Eyed Peas' first album.
Wow.
I threw on Black Eyed Peas' first album, and I felt really good. And that I hadn't listened to that album in a minute, and I was like, I need this in my veins when it gets tough. But when I feel like fighting, I'm listening to Tyler. I'm listening to Tyler, the creator, and he's getting me hyped and ready to go hit the streets and take the fight to them.
Yeah. I'm listening to a lot of Tyler too. And I'm also listening to the throwback. I said the 90s R&B is where I am right now. So let's get into this. So when you look across the landscape, right? And because you all are both working with multiples, right? What is it that you're seeing right now? What is your sense of how people and organizations are responding in this moment? And we can start with you, Gabby.
Yeah, organizations are responding in a lot of different ways, mostly which they are all just doing everything that they can. What we're seeing across the board is when folks stepping up and taking action independent of any organization. Folks are raising their hands, folks are self-organizing. There are movements happening in places like Reddit, which I still can't really understand, but people find each other on Reddit. And there's a group called 5051 that has self-organized itself in the last, couple of months, and they're hosting thousands and thousands of protests across the country. And I just want to say this: if we look 6 weeks ago, we didn't see this, right? We were many of the folks on this call, concerned that what we were seeing in Washington really wasn't hitting the grassroots in the way that we needed it to, and that we needed to do something about it. And so as a consequence, you see people having fly-ins to DC, where unions are taking their members to DC to lobby. You're seeing district actions, you're seeing protests happening every day, every weekend. Different groups or people are coming together. And I think that's a fantastic thing, because you can't keep lying and saying that everybody's being paid to protest when you have hundreds of thousands of people out here. The only person that's actually paying people to participate in our democracy is Elon Musk right now, giving people $100 to sign his little petition in Wisconsin. So I
want you to say that again. Say that again, Gab, because this is important. There is a critical Supreme Court race happening April 1st in Wisconsin. And the head of Tesla is out here paying people $100, which maybe is illegal, to get them to essentially show up and vote for the candidate he wants to win.
Yep. And the thing that makes it, legal is that he's not paying for a vote. He's paying for an email. He's giving you $100. And so, it is undeniable that folks are upset. You can't pay people to be as upset as they are, especially if you have fired them. That is a true anger and impact to our communities and our families. And folks aren't taking it lightly, and they're not taking it laying down either.
Right. Charles, what are you all seeing? Because I know that you are out gathering up volunteers across the country. I'm wondering what you're hearing from folks and what people are prepared for.
Yeah, I mean, we'd never stopped knocking on doors. We were out in your neck of the woods knocking on doors for ballot. We're doing ballot curing out here. We hit the special election in Virginia in January, and so we've been talking to voters. I think the things that I'm really excited about is, I think you touched on it, is that everyone understands voting and government more than they ever have. We have probably the most educated electorate that we've had in generations. Culture. I didn't even know what the hell culture was. Okay, until recently. Not exactly.
Right.
But people are, they're impacting Elon Musk's businesses. They are, and it's constant. It is every day. It's every week. People have gotten legs under them to get out there and get active. People who are not politically engaged last year are now saying, how do I get involved? Now I feel like it's a fire. And I know we have to, those of us who work in politics, we're like, where were y'all? When we needed y'all, where were y'all? And at the same time, we got to be like, come on in, welcome. That's right, y'all. Let's all burn it down. Let's all
This is your
fight.
moment. You might have missed
This is it. The
now.
moment. Yeah, exactly. So I think that is everybody, the people who were engaged before are more engaged, and the people who were not engaged last year are newly engaged, and the coalition is just growing, and that's exciting to see.
Yeah. So there are things happening every day. So people, I think that when we talked earlier, maybe I asked Maurice, or I said it at the top, this thing about how do we get people encouraged? And it does feel like people are actually, in fact, encouraged. And it is pretty, par for the course that the people are leading, and oftentimes their elected officials and even organizations are trying to catch up. Right. And so I think that while we may not see it on the news every day, there is literally something happening every day where people are pushing back. And so, Charles, I actually want to ask you first about, I know that you all have been doing some protests and mobilizations at federal buildings. And I know this because I saw it on the Instagram, and so therefore it's real. Right? So, but you all are mobilizing folks to participate in these protests. And I know I've seen it in Seattle. I don't know if you all are doing it in other cities as well, but talk about that and the sort of activations that you all are putting forward for people to be able to be engaged in the way that you just described.
Yeah, I think that the transition from last year, I think last year it was like show up for this stretch of time and then we'll be good. You know, show up to knock on doors for this stretch of time or make phone calls for this stretch of time. I think that the first Trump administration taught us that it is actually an evergreen effort. It's a sustainability across weeks and months and years worth of effort. And so where we met the need of people on the front lines was, we're going to be a part of this evergreen protest that's happening in Seattle. And it's every Friday at the federal building. It was us saying, we're not going to plan our own events. We're going to augment the existing ones. Because you're right, the people came first. They showed up first and they said, every Friday, we're going to show up at this building. We're going to protest here for federal workers and anybody else, unions, immigration rights. You come on board this block of time, we're going to be here. And so what we said was, we're going to augment that. We're going to use our audience across social media and in Seattle, and we're going to have people come and join this protest. But we're going to do it we're going to open our offices. You can do sign making. You can come and listen to some music. You can have some good coffee. You can use the restroom, which is a bold thing for
right.
Someone to do in a downtown area. Come and use our restroom before and after a protest. That alone may be the single reason why we've gotten so many people who come on board. Is because we opened up the toilet. But
right,
whatever it takes, right? It's about addressing people's needs so that they can stay in this fight. And that's what we're doing in Seattle.
Yeah. So I want to just, I mean, we'll come back to this in a second, but I want to just say that we have a lot of members and supporters and volunteers in the Seattle area. And so I'm going to suggest to folks that if you want to participate in what Common Power is doing, those protests at the federal building, that you reach out to them. And so we'll send something out to folks. If you're in the Seattle area and you want to participate, we'll send out the information for how to get in contact with Charles and his team at Common Power, so that you can join the work that Common Power is doing in the greater Seattle area. Gabby, tell me about what the Fight Back Table partners are doing and what they're organizing right now.
Yeah, so we're calling a National Day of Action on April 5th. And the theme is hands off, because Trump and Musk and these Republicans in Congress have put their hands in places that they don't belong, like on our Social Security, on our healthcare, on our education. You fill in the blank. They need to get out of it. And so we're putting in the chat now where you can sign up to host an event or join an event in your community. Last night, as of yesterday, we had over 350 events that are already happening across the country. There are more here. There's a toolkit. It's super easy. So there's literally no excuse for you not to be taking action right now. On this website, it's www.handsoff2025.com. There's a toolkit. There's talking points. There's information for you if you want to host a gigantic event, if you are in a big city and a big media market and you have the ability and the capacity to put on a 10,000 person event. It's really important that we do these in a coordinated fashion, at least on these particular days of action, so we can deepen our impact. You keep hearing Republicans say, we have a mandate, we have a mandate. First of all, that's a lie. You don't have a mandate.
It's a lie, yes.
But you know what they can't ignore when they say they have a mandate? Thousands of people in the streets, and the people in the streets need to look like us. Because it is us that are on the line the most. And whatever the issue, I'm certainly one of the folks right after the election that said, you know what, I don't know. Maybe I'm just showing up for Black people because they're not showing up for us. But What I will say too is when Trump started sending criminals to other countries and to Guantanamo Bay and saying that perhaps there are other violent people who could come here too. Who do you think he's talking about? Us. our people and our community. So don't for a minute think because it's not your issue right now that is being attacked, that it won't be. It very much will be. And so now is the time to push back against all of it. So again, you can go to handsoff2025.com to see action near you, or to build one yourself. And then on May 1st, tons of labor organizations and immigration organizations are doing huge May Day action. So you're going to continue to see our partners across the board take action in the streets.
Okay, so April 5th, 1st. And we'll get that information out to folks as well, to make sure that folks plug into something near them. And again, I think for BlackPAC, we will continue to encourage folks to connect where they are with our partner organizations that are on the ground. So we'll continue to get that information out. I know that we're a little bit over time, but Charles, I wanted to also just come back to you for a second about the work that you're doing, that you all are doing, the electoral work that you all are doing right now. I'm trying to mobilize folks that may also be opportunities for folks to plug in right in this moment for critical elections.
Yeah, this is what I'm most excited about. And this is us going on the offense. And this is our bread and butter. We move volunteers from mostly blue states into red and purple states to go knock on doors. That's what we do better than anybody else in the country. And that's what we're going to be doing in Wisconsin. And Adrianne, I know this is your favorite state. We're sending volunteers to Florida. Okay. We're doing it. I look, it took me a lot to think about this and that commit to this, but the Wisconsin Supreme Court race, super important, and a bigger fight against Elon Musk. If you want to take down Elon, you can do it in Wisconsin. We can win there. Florida, we've got no chance of winning, but we have to compete everywhere where there's a U.S. House race, and Common Power is committed to doing that. So we've got to go for those 2 seats in Florida. As soon as Elise Stefanik decides to go be an ambassador or whatever the heck she's doing, we're going to hit that seat. We got to defend that seat in Texas.
That's New York for folks who are on from New York.
Yes.
You probably know that.
Upstate New York. We got to defend that seat in Texas. We got to defend that seat in Arizona. Those 2 folks that just passed. And then any other special elections that pop up for the U.S. House race, Common Power will be facilitating travel of volunteers from one state to another to go knock on doors. And it's not too late. You can sign up right now, commonpower.org.
Okay, so I'm gonna put that out there also for folks who are again interested in going and helping to mobilize voters in person. You can contact Common Power, and we can help facilitate that connection. Okay, so one last thing before we wrap up and sort of give folks some marching orders here. I'm going to ask you all the same question, the ending question that I asked Maurice, which is, what are you all saying to folks to help them stay encouraged? And I'll start with you, Gabby, because I imagine that even at the fight back table with organizers and strategists, who have done this work for years and years, there is some encouragement that has to happen. And I think the thing that you said, like, not only were people like, yeah, I'm just in it for me now, or for all the people who were like, I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna take a break. And all of those things that we heard after the election, knowing full well that there ain't no breaks. And so you can break and tap back in, right? But there is no permanent, I'm gonna sit this one out. So what are you saying to people, or what are you hearing folks say to each other about how to stay encouraged in this moment?
Well, first of all, Adrianne will talk about you to your face in front of people, talking about taking breaks. So she wasn't talking to me, you all. Just so you know, I got the message. But I think, one of the things we're encouraging people to do, and I have to remember to do, because sometimes you just go, is be around your people and be in community. Because sometimes, and especially if you are a person who is super active and you're at the meetings and you're doing the volunteer work, and it sometimes will take you a little bit of time to know that you're not okay because you are so busy. And so being with your people helps you fight against that and protect yourself. So that's the encouragement I would recommend.
Yeah, thank you. That was perfect. Charles, what are you saying to the volunteers and to your team?
Yeah, I mean, for us, it is we're students of history at Common Power. Half of what we do is traveling to the South, learning directly from the people who are still alive, who are foot soldiers. We were just there in Selma for the 60th anniversary of Bloody Sunday, and it just puts everything into
How's Charles
context.
doing? The other Charles, Mr.
Oh,
Morgan.
Mr. Malden, Charles Malden, number 6 in line behind John Lewis on Bloody Sunday. He was 17 years old. That brother right there. I mean, he's one of the ones. Like I spent a lot of time with him on this trip, and he's actually he's pissed.
Yeah.
He's pissed that we're back here. He's pissed that that folks are talking about. Some people are talking about giving up, and he kind of checked people actually when we were down there, and it puts it all into perspective. Like this is not as bad as it was before. Like folks were dying because they were trying to register, not just vote. So it's better, and it can be better, and we just got to keep our head down and fight. And I always tell folks, like, especially the people who are new to this, 1955 was when Rosa Parks happened, and 1965 is when we got the Voting Rights Act. That was a whole decade, y'all, of not winning and things not going our way. We can make it. We can do this, y'all. We gotta put one foot in front of the other and stay close to each other.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you both, Charles Douglas from Common Power in Seattle and other places, apparently Los Angeles, and to our good friend Gabby Seay, who is working with the Fight Back table. April 5th. For the first big national action. We'll get that information out to folks, and also these special elections the elections, one special that Charles is referencing. We can get folks the information to Common Power, and for the protests at the federal building happening in Seattle. So we'll get that out. Thank you both so much for joining us this morning. We appreciate both of you individually, and also all the work that you all do to help keep us moving forward. Okay, so we have just a couple of minutes left, and so I want to bring Jess and Alyssa back on to give us some marching orders about the things that we need to do right now. So, Alyssa, what are the 3-4 things that you have for people to do?
Well, I actually think it could be summed up, Adrianne. I think it can be summed up in 3 F's, right? You need to find your people, right? Find your people, find your community. We also have focus on the issue that you care about, and then fight, right? It's going to take a collective fight. So here are the things that you can do next week. You can join BlackPAC. If you aren't already, hanging with us, go to blackpac.com/join. Make one call to Congress. Today, or this week, we heard that Trump is dismantling the Department of Education. If education is important to you, you call and you tell your congressman or woman to fight. Tell them to fight. Tell them to retain their power. We're supposed to have 3 co-equal branches of government, and right now it is all being centralized in the executive branch. Tell them to fight. Tell Congress to fight. And then get out in your community. We have some great community organizations that will get information out to you. I know, Charles, I will be there next Friday. I'm in Seattle. I will be there next Friday at the federal building. So
we're gonna need pictures of that, though. Video.
Yes, I will take video, but I will be there. So, if anything, pick up the phone. What you can do today and every day is pick up the phone and call 202-224-3121. That's the congressional switchboard.
Say it again slower.
Sorry. 202-224-3121.
And Alyssa, I'm going to ask that people call their Congress members and ask them to hold a town hall. So I don't know how many of you, show of hands, how many of you have your members have held a town hall. If they haven't, you need to ask them to hold one because they need to hear from their constituents on whatever your issue is, right? If your issue might just be telling them to fight back. Your issue might be that the actual vote because there has to be an actual vote to dismantle the Department of Education, that you need to get on their radar and ask them not only make sure that they know they need to vote against that, but also ask them what their plan is to make sure that their caucus is fighting back around that issue. But if you haven't had a town hall, call your member of Congress and tell them to have a town hall so that you can come and do your part and your duty as a citizen to engage. This is still a government for, of, and by, by the people, right, for the moment. And so the people need to let their representatives know. I'm sorry, Lisa, go ahead.
No, I think you I think you landed the point well. The more we call, we saw last week the congressional switchboard just stopped working because people were calling. Keep doing that. Hold our elected leaders accountable, ask them to hold town halls. So that's what you can do today and continue the fight.
Okay, so we are going to let you all go. We appreciate everyone for joining us. This, I think, will be available. Jess, you'll let me know. If you all want to share this, it's on YouTube. If you want to share this with your people so that they can hear what's happening and hear from other national leaders around the country, please share the link so that people can watch. We will be in contact with all of you for ways that you can get engaged, things that you can be doing right now. So look out for those emails, text messages, and maybe even some phone calls to get you involved. If you are not following us on all of the socials, please do at Vote BlackPAC. I think that's right, Jess. I can mess this up all the time. Vote BlackPAC on all the socials. And also, if you want information, if you're not getting the newsletter from The Village, please go to the Ville Media. Alyssa, I hope I'm getting that right. On all the socials, the Ville Media. And you can get the news and information from about what is happening so that you are staying on top of things and not just getting stuff from mainstream media, but the things that are most important to our community. So please follow us on social media. And again, I'm hoping that you all are having a fabulous Saturday wherever you are. We're going to get that playlist out to folks so that you can be encouraged with the music that people talked about today. And we will be in your inboxes and on your phones, letting you know what is happening and what we need for you to do. So thanks everybody for joining us.